Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 9 o'clock, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is a special called workshop of the Commissioners Court of Hood County, Texas. Today is Wednesday, October the 11th, 2023. We're in the Emergency Operations Center located at 401 Deputy Larry Miller Drive in Granbury, Texas. And the first order of business is the invocation. I'd like to call upon Richard again to give us the invocation. Well, all stand, please.
Please pray with me. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we're so grateful to live in this great country and in this wonderful county. Father, we pray your blessings upon our decision makers, our commissioners and judge, that your wisdom will be with them and that they will make decisions based on the best good of the total community. Father, we thank you for all these people who've come to support the commission, for we know that when we're involved, your will more likely be done. Father, as we live in a world that seems more fractured every day with war, we pray for your protection of the innocents, but we rejoice knowing that in the end, your will prevail, and your Son, Jesus Christ, will return. It's in his name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join me in the pledge to the United States. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
I think we'll begin today to let Margaret Campbell come up here and kind of kick us off here and telling us what all she's put together. She's got these, everybody has put an application together. She's got a summary. So Margaret, come on up here, and I'm gonna let you have my place right here so I can sit down and look at you and be in the back. And we've got a list of people that have signed up to speak on your favorite one list of whatever your charity here. So this is very big. We've got a bunch of them right here, and we'll get to them. But go ahead, Margaret, and give us.
Okay. This is the second round of ARPA money. The first round has all been distributed. This is the second round, and Becky, I believe it's $5.6 million. Is that correct?
Sounds about right.
Okay. Probably March, the Commissioners Court decided to change things up and distribute the money a little bit differently this year, or this go round, and ask everybody to submit an application with your request. To date, we've received 29 applications, totaling $21.4 million worth of funds requested. There are a couple of duplicate applications, duplicate applicants, I should say. The Sheriff's Office put in a couple of applications, a couple of fire departments put in multiple applications for various things. So it's not 29 entities that are requesting money, but there are 29 things to be discussed today. What else would you like me to?
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
So continue on, you know. Yeah, let's.
Do you want me to go into the first application, or?
Yes, that's, you've handled all of them.
Okay, does the court, do y'all care what order I go into these?
No.
Just,
Go.
I mean, whatever the
Okay.
speaker, just make sure you get the speakers for each one. So,
Okay, let's start, I'm gonna start with the first application that we received, which was the Sheriff's Office application. There's actually two Sheriff's Office applications. The first one is a total of $205,000 that's being requested for the purchase of equipment for deputies, plate carriers, ballistic rifle plates, ballistic helmets, ballistic glass, and panel packages for Tahoes. Do y'all want to speak on that, or do you want me to?
Well,
Yep.
I've turned it in. Everything that I've asked for is to help protect my deputies so they can protect the citizens of this county. So the glass packages, we just found out about those after I had submitted that first package, so that's why I did the second package. So that gives the ballistic glass in the windshield and the side glass and the door panels. There's a trooper that was killed here a while back, and they started working hard on that, so that's where this came out. I only have a few rifles that are, most of them are old, not obsolete really, we keep them operating, but are old guns that were from the probably Vietnam War era, and that's why most of my people just carry their own stuff. So I want to protect them, so that's why I've asked for the SWAT guys have the vests, the helmets, but I want to make sure that all my frontline patrol guys are just as protected, because anything could happen, and I need everybody's help, so I want to get them completely protected. So the night vision is on there too. Everything we've got is older stuff that I leased from the United States Navy, and it's about obsolete. The pistols, I want the best for my guys so they can do the best they can for protecting the citizens of this county. So, and the last thing on my list was the Bearcat armored truck. That's also to help protect my people so they can protect the citizens of this county. So.
Just wanted to expand on what he was saying real quick. Is my background, 15 years plus in SWAT, SRT operations. I've been shot at in this county more than once. And so those Bearcats, those armored vehicles, those helmets, those vests, we put them to use in this county. We've been very fortunate to not lose that many people, but we have lost people, obviously. So this isn't so much of a dream list as it is, this is modern day law enforcement. I worked on a large department in the Houston area. Our SWAT team was as big or bigger than our current agency. We had 64 guys on that team. I've been in lots of shootings, gunfights, things like that. I can tell you this stuff is not just for that kind of things. I was down in Houston for Hurricane Ike. We used our Bearcats to rescue people here in Hurricane Ike. So I'm telling you, it's a rescue vehicle as much as it is to keep us safe. The night vision stuff that's on here, guys, that is what we're up against every day. The bad guys have it and we don't. I don't know if you can ever put yourself in a situation of having to traverse a 200-yard long driveway in the middle of the night where the bad guy can see you, you can't see them. We have a gun, but we still have to go. That's where we're at. And when the bad guy has something that you don't have it, whether it be guns or equipment or armor, the industry out there in the shooting sports and the hunting industry has made all this stuff affordable, civilian legal now. It didn't used to be. And so when the bad guy has better equipment than we do, it really challenges us and it makes it unsafe for our deputies. You saw what happened on 7/7 in Dallas. We lost 5 officers. We don't want that to happen here. Those guys didn't have the equipment they needed, and we're hoping that doesn't happen here. So just to expand what you were saying.
And they actually, y'all covered both applications. So one application was $205,000. The other one was $764,000. Does the court want to discuss this, or do y'all just want to hear comments?
Well, the court could ask any questions, and anybody could ask any question on the court. If y'all have any questions of the sheriff or from Gary Roberts to answer anything about this. I think it's self-evident. We've all had copies of the applications and the breakdown on the list of what they're asking for. So if anybody has any questions on the deal, they can do it, but we've all studied it and seen what they've submitted. But if you have any specific questions, feel free to ask either the sheriff or Lieutenant Roberts. They'll be glad to answer your questions.
And one thing I didn't touch on was the simulation stuff. That's for force on force training. That's for active shooter training. It lets us use our current weapons that we have in the actual environments, which we'll need them. It lets us do our alert training, which is a requirement by law now for us to train on alert, which is active shooter response. Lets us do it in the actual buildings. We can do simulation training, force on force in this room if we wanted to. It lets us do it in the actual venue in which we're responding to with the actual weapons that we use in a safe manner. So that's also in there, which is a huge thing for us to accomplish.
And y'all should have in y'all's applications, they provided quotes for everything that they've requested. So you should be able to see that they justified the amount that they listed.
That's the only
We
question.
got 28 more to go through, so I'll say let's,
Keep on moving.
yes.
We're done with 2. Let's start with the fire departments. The fire department's put in a lot of applications. Okay, the first one we have is Crescent, and it looks like we have a speaker for that.
Okay. It's a broken record, but in the mid-90s, the fire station in Hood County was built in Crescent. And at that time, the fire department had 13 members and was answering just over 100 calls a year. Right now, we have a total roster of 83 members, 59 of which we qualify as first responders. That backs out some of our senior members and whatever. In the past quarter, I had 59 people who responded to a call, and last year we answered 1,000 calls. What we're asking to do is our facility, we've got trucks parked on top of trucks. I've got people's bunker gear in piles because we obviously have way outgrown our mid-1990s facility. We have years ago purchased land right adjacent to the existing facility where we can build a 4-bay truck building. And we're not trying to do anything fancy. We just want the concrete, the metal building, the installation. We've got some power line rerouting that we have to do. Margaret has told us that this ARPA thing favors building expansions rather than ground-up constructions, and we have a shop there that we can't use as a shop because it's stored in trucks, and we want to expand that shop to be able to build a building to house these additional trucks. You say, well, do you need that many? 2 weeks ago, we were on a fire. It happened to be in Tarrant County. We had everything emptied out. We had 24 responders out. So the department is proving that it can use this equipment, and honestly, it needs more. We are number 4 in line for this year to be awarded a tanker from the Texas Forest Service. $240,000 toward it. It'll exhaust all of our existing funds to match that, assuming that we get that award. Last year they awarded 6 of them. They usually do 6 to 8. So we may be a year out or we'll be right there. To illustrate to you how important it is for us to have that additional one, you only need to look down the road at Tarrant County this year. In January, we had another tanker that was on loan to us from Parker County. We had a house fire. We stopped that house fire where it burned about 40% of the roof. All the people's possessions were saved, and that house is about halfway rebuilt now. The second month in February, Parker County had ESD 6 had to take that tanker back away from us, so we went down. In April, Benbrook had a fire right across the road from us. They only run one tanker and not as many people as we did. That house burned to the ground. In May, we had another fire right across our line where Crowley's area is. They run one tanker. The house burned to the ground. So if you've got a department that can man the equipment and has the equipment, we all know that fires now, we used to have 15 minutes to get there, now we got 3 or 4 minutes. Our turnout time in the past quarter was average 2 minutes and 11 seconds. And between Crescent and Granbury, the City Council of Crescent has already approved plats for 3,318 lots. And we have additional ones that are coming into the city right now. So I can't tell you, but if you put 2.5 persons per lot, that's gonna be 8,000 or 9,000 people, not counting the additional ones coming in. So you're looking at us to try to take care of almost
5 to 10 years from now, almost the population of Granbury, out of a 1995 facility that was built when we were answering a tenth of what we're doing now. We will build this thing 2 stories because down the road it can be converted, even though you've got ADA things and all to consider, to have a living quarters. And that also presents a savings perhaps to the county, because if down the road EMS chooses to put an ambulance up in the Crescent area, we know already Parker County has co-located 2 ambulances with fire stations. The first one worked, and they want to do the second one. Johnson County had 3 going, where they're sharing with fire stations, and then a 4th one is just come up online. So by building this, we can, if we would have to, move things around, and if need be, down the road, Ricky thinks he needs an ambulance up in that area, that would save having to build some sort of EMS station, because we could put that in there. And the last thing I would tell you is I was at a Tarrant County meeting last night. Tarrant County, has a great big bureaucracy and a team that's working on their ARPA money. They are already going to recipients and starting the process of clawing money back because it hasn't been spent, because this stuff has deadlines when it has to be spent. Our project, we own the land, we're ready to go, and we're not dependent on lead time to get a vehicle or anything else like that. So I would entertain any questions that the members of the court might have on what we're talking about. I know Commissioner Eagle, Commissioner Andrews, maybe Jack also have been on land, have been out there with us and seen where we're talking about doing this, and saw our setup and how we're trying to get the most bang for the buck out of what we already have. So I'll take any questions that any of you have.
You all should have a detailed building expansion plan in the back of your application that you should have been able to see. And I'm sorry, Tina, you filled out a request. Did you want to speak on anything specific?
No, just in case I have a question.
Okay, I'm just going to put you right here then.
Okay.
Moving on to Daycord Ova.
What was the bottom line that you're asking for, sir?
It was just over $500,000. We've got an estimate.
536.
536,000. Obviously, it's not bid or anything. We got 2 estimates on it. And
There's a general quote in here, but it's.
yes, ma'am. We did prepare, like was requested, a budget as best we could estimate it. Obviously, not having gone out for bids.
Katie, did you hear, or do people need to come to a microphone? Are you getting all the discussion?
Should be able to pick it up. I mean, there is no microphone, so.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Kristen? Okay, now we're moving on to Daycord Ova. I'm going to cover the first. They have 3 applications. I'm going to do them one by one if that's okay with you guys. The first one is a request for $585,000 to purchase a 3,000-gallon Pierce tanker truck. And they also provided everything in their application as far as quotes and everything that was requested. The second application was for $90,000 to purchase a cab for Brush 48. Basically what it sounds like they're going to do is they're going to transfer things over so that they, instead of having to replace an entire truck, they're just having to replace parts of a truck. It makes it a little bit more cost effective, it looks like. And then their third request is for $1.4 million to purchase a property off of Ray Road, and they're going to try to use that as a second fire station for Daycord Ova Fire Department. Any questions on Daycord Ova? Okay, we're going to keep going. We are at Granbury Fire Department. Granbury put in 4 applications. I'm going to go by them one by one unless you stop me and want me to let you speak on them. The first application we have is for $128,000, and that is to purchase a cab for brush truck 2. Sounds like you're gonna do the same thing and you're just gonna transfer.
Correct, it's just to take the existing bed and put it on the, replace the cabin chassis. And that's a 2.5 ton truck, it's a larger truck.
The second application is also for $128,000, and that's to purchase a generator and transfer switch for Station 2. The third one is for $65,000. It's also to purchase a new cabin chassis for brush truck 3. And then the fourth application is for $334,000 to repay the loan used to acquire tanker 10.
Yeah, and we've talked on that a little bit.
Right.
We may, the ARPA money specifically says that it can't be used to repay a loan, but what we could do is perhaps as the county buy that truck from you at this purchase, or at this price, that way it'll be county owned, and then you can use those funds to move. I think you had your eye set on another purchase to
Yeah,
get you
at
guys
the end of
going.
the day, assuming that that project was completed, we just turn around and buy another apparatus. And the last thing I'll add real quick is there's another project that I've been working on with Ricky. And when we get to Ricky, I'll talk about that. And I have no problem segueing any consideration for these 4 requests into the project with Ricky.
Any other questions for the Granbury applications? Okay, moving on to Indian Harbor. Indian Harbor Volunteer Fire Department put in 2 applications. The first one is for $426,000 to purchase a fire rescue boat. And the second one is for $365,000 to purchase a mini pumper fire truck.
So the mini pumper that we went with is going to replace our engine 50 basically. It's going to be we're going to treat it as a normal engine. It's a pump and roll engine, 500-gallon tank. It'll be the first out on our accidents, fires, everything like that. It's going to be, it gives us a better response time than a brush truck that is first out usually. It gives us a little more water capacity and 1,500 gallons a minute pump on it. And then our fire boat, that's to go inside with the dive team. It's got the dive door, it's got the winch on it to be able to get tanks in and out of the water. It's got a FLIR, we can do night vision on it, everything like that. The boat that we have now, until De Cordova got theirs, we have a 500-gallon a minute pump. It's an old fishing boat that we kind of made into a fire boat, and this one is a 1,500-gallon a minute pump out of the lake right off the bottom of the boat. So we can go pretty much anywhere in the county and pump 1,500 gallons a minute. We can fill trucks up with that thing.
Any other questions for?
Maybe, I think that it's kind of important to understand some of the differences on some of this, a little bit technical stuff on the fire side of things. Ron talked about having the tankers on scene. That's the water infrastructure that we have around here, and the way that you put out a fire is flowing a whole lot of water. That's, you're talking about 1,500 gallons a minute. Well, we're not talking about a garden hose here. That's a whole lot of water coming out, and it takes a lot of water carrying capacity to sustain that, to be able to protect these structures. So you'll see a lot of requests for tankers in here because that is absolutely imperative in Hood County, where we don't have a fire hydrant to go hook up to, in the vast majority of this county. So a boat is that's a little bit different creature. If you could hook up where you're just sucking water right out of the lake, filling tankers up, running a shuttle, your tankers can carry that water where you need it to be, but you've got a nearly unlimited water source, 1,500.
We'll be able to fill up trucks and have 2 man lines off that boat at the same time and not lose water.
Yeah, and of course, that's a scenario also where you're actually fighting fire from the water, from the boat. You're able to, some of these houses on the lakes that are often difficult to get engines down into. So, All right, sorry.
Is there a better definition for this boat? Because there's a huge difference. There's two things called rescue boats, and one's not very expensive, and this one's $426. There's more to it than it's a fire rescue boat.
Absolutely. I mean, the 1,500 gallon a minute pump on it. We usually run dive operations off of our boat as well. So any boat accidents, we'll go out with BRA and the game wardens. We go out with on holiday weekends, help them patrol the lake. The main part is we can run that pump on that boat is basically what you would put on a truck.
So it's not just a rescue boat.
No, it's not an inflatable, raft that you're
Right.
doing swift water
So
rescue, stuff like that.
Should we call it something else, just so, I mean, what's a better name for it? Pump boat? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, as long as everyone realizes it's not a rescue, what we see being hauled on the back of a fire truck to go rescue someone who's in the water, that's,
No, this is a 29-foot boat.
yeah, I see I see all the information in here, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
the
it's just,
rescue boat makes it,
yeah, I think it's just like
The
the
comparison.
classification of things. I mean, brush truck has, Jeff, you want
If I may interject, about 8, 9 years ago, Indian Harbor was approached by the Bradley River Authority and very highly encouraged to consider getting a fireboat that had the ability to pump water and fight fire from the lake because of the amount of expansion and people that were building on the lake and everything else.
yeah.
Their fear was we get a boat dock fire that's gonna spread from boat dock to boat dock to boat dock and destroy a lot of property because we had no way to get fire trucks down to those boat docks.
Yeah. That's it. If you
Especially if you look down along the bluffs, there's a lot of homes, big homes built really high on a cliff that have little gondolas that ride down to the boat dock.
Okay.
We have had one of those burn in the last couple of years, and it burned down to the pylons.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what it is, it's just like there's one called rescue boat, this one is $426,000, and then there's another one, rescue boat, that's $25,000, and they're completely different vehicles.
It all comes down to their size and capabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of, like a brush truck to an engine.
Yeah.
I mean, those are vastly different. The price tag's pretty different too.
Yes.
So.
So this is like a fire truck on floating
Yeah,
fire truck.
it's like a fire engine boat. How's that? That's it.
A floating fire. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna keep plugging along here.
All right.
Off we go to Lipan Volunteer Fire Department.
I guess I'm here as the representative for one thing.
Good deal.
The building across the street that we house 5 trucks in is, boy, when it gets cold, it's hard to keep that thing warm. It's got some rust in the walls. The insulation is the old style held up by the chicken wire, and it's falling out. And we were going to reskin that. The doors that are on it are slide-bys. And we've actually had somebody sitting in the engine of the tanker ready to roll out, and all of a sudden the door comes sliding by because somebody over here is pushing the door down to get another truck out. So the bid for that building is to get that, to get it where it has roll-up doors on it, where each one is operated independently, insulate the building, reclad it with new metal, and that's $51,000. And then get a generator, an emergency generator. There's natural gas piped into the building, so the building is run off of a gas furnace if the, as a cooling or warming station, and just to provide a mini EOC in case of an emergency to have the fire station still be able to operate. And then, like we talked about with the tanker, we could use another tanker to have that water carrying capacity also. So, that's it.
Any questions for Lipan?
What's the total there?
Commissioner? All of them added together is what, 570?
About,
570,000. That tanker, that's a pretty stripped down version. It's just a truck with the pump and tank, huh? Yeah, $498 on that one. Yeah, that doesn't have any tools and stuff. We've got some tools that we can put on it. We've got one that's 1979 model that will decommission and replace this one.
Okay.
So there's 100,000 left.
Oh,
Go ahead.
all right.
Okay, moving on. North Hood County Volunteer Fire Department. They only turned in one application, but they actually requested 3 things in their one application, so they took a little bit of a different approach. They are asking for a fire engine, a generator, and a rescue boat as well.
The North Hood County Volunteer Fire Department currently has a 23-year-old tanker engine, where some of you might say, well, what's the fire engine's a fire engine, but I admit, 23 years ago, you know, the county probably looked at what do we need the most, you know, right off the bat, you know, for all the departments. And so this engine has been refurbed, you know, just about 3 years ago. And refurb means you take a used engine and you take it back to the shop and you revamp it where it's kind of like new. But you gotta remember, the engine and transmission is not new. It's still the old same engine and transmission. And here again, it aesthetically looks great because, you know, it has a new paint job and all the interior is redone and the electrical wiring, but you still have an old engine. And this tanker engine is designed for bulk water. So it's a fire engine that carries a lot of water, but what I need the most is a rescue fire engine that carries a lot of rescue tools. And so if I have a major accident or something like that, I've got all the tools, you know, kind of like in one toolbox. The tanker engine is fine, you know, for fires, and so is a new engine. It doesn't have to be tanked as big because whenever the bigger tank you get, the less room you get on storage. And what I need is storage, you know, for my jaws and fans and rescue equipment in general. Our department is advancing now, you know, we're getting a lot more training in. You know, we just took a high angle rope rescue, you know, class with half my department took it. And there again, you know, the more stuff you get, the more stuff you have to store. And so a new engine, you know, will allow me to do that, where now you can even get top storage boxes, you know, on engines where it might be something you don't use very often, but, you know, you can still have it with you. Here again, I put in for a rescue fireboat because I didn't realize how many miles of shoreline that North Hood County covers. If you look at it on a geographical map, it doesn't look like much, but there is a lot of canals that are, you know, streets that are canaled into our area. And there again, just here about 8 months ago or so, it seemed like there was a water accident, and it was right what I call in our backyard. You know, Granbury did launch and they did get to the scene, but it wasn't, apparently the 2 jet skiers had bumped each other and they went on about their business and nobody was there. But there again, that's only 1 mile from my station, and we could have, if we had a rescue fireboat, we could have got there pretty quick also. And the beauty of these rescue fireboats, you notice I'm not just saying a rescue boat. Fire means now it has the capability of having the fire pump like these other boats we've talked about. And if I have all these miles of shoreline, depending on where a fire is, we can put across somebody's backyard and put water on that street. And that way, it's like Kevin had said earlier, it's an endless water supply. We don't have to worry about tank water coming in. Here again, we're getting more people trained in classes of water rescue, and that would be instrumental to my department. We were offered a boat, oh gosh, about 6 or 7 years ago it seems like, but me and the assistant chief turned it down at that time. We looked at it like, maybe too much maintenance, maybe we didn't have a place at that time to store it. And so we respectively declined the offer by the county at that time for a vote. I wish we had kind of pressed the button anyway, and just made it work and dug something out that we had to and stored it. But here again, a generator, my station is one of the stations that don't have a generator. So in a major power failure, we've got to stay on portable radios to monitor the air and still receive calls. And then again, we can override our electric overhead doors. We can disconnect the electric motors and still manually raise them and shut them. But it would be nice to have, you got to remember, if a tornado comes through, it's going to take all the infrastructure out of the utilities. And there again, with a generator, you now can monitor your computers and see what's going on around you. And here again, you can still operate and charge your radios, and of course, operate your doors.
Any questions? Okay.
And the dollar values, well, back in 1994, whenever I first started trying to get into the fire service, I took a fire academy, the Frisco Fire Academy. And Chief Bogart was the current chief of Frisco. And I was just wowed by going through this academy saying, man, I came up to him one day and I said, how do you get all this top of the line fire academy? And he told me, well, and today I am a chief. And he goes, well, the chief has to be a politician. You have to kind of stretch the truth and kind of pad what you really need. But, if I'm asking for a Cadillac of an engine, I would work with whatever was allowed, on the numbers. I don't have to have the Cadillac. The engine I got a quote for it is a very expensive engine. It's one of the top of the line. Here again, the generator quote, that was from a company that was coming in and practically rewiring half of our station. And do I need $17,000 for a generator? No, but I could make another number work. But here again, fire boats, they're not cheap. The quote I got was for an average fire boat, and still at $40,000, I could make less work. It's just, but anyway, Chief Bogart kind of taught me a lesson about being a chief, which I was just wanting to be a firefighter. I didn't want to be a chief back then. But he did come out and say, I asked for twice the amount that I need, and I settled for half. And so if he asked for $4 million and they give him $2 million, his target was $2 million. But he knew how to ask for more. And I'm not really doing that on this. Some of these quotes, I know fire engines are very expensive boats and generators, but I'd make anything work if it was considered.
But your number right now is 891, right?
I'm sorry, sir?
Your number right now is 891,000?
Yes.
Okay, thank
And
you.
that's what I had on your form was $25,000 for a boat, not 40.
I'm sorry?
What was included in the packet was $25,000 for the rescue boat, not 40.
That might very well be true.
Okay. And on the engine, there was the detailed specs, but I didn't see the estimate. I think this is one that was handwritten in, 800. Do you have an actual estimate for the engine?
I'm sorry?
Do you have, I don't know, maybe Margaret's received it.
I'm gonna look.
And the rescue boat. There
I
was
might be letting another quote that was given to me, kind of right over there.
I don't see it in here.
So if you have a detailed estimate for the boat and the fire engine, could you
I'm sorry.
If you have a detailed estimate for the boat and the fire engine, could you send that to Margaret, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this application? Okay, moving forward. Pecan Plantation, Fire Department and EMS put in 3 applications. The first one we'll talk about is Pecan EMS. They've requested $68,000 for the purchase of a generator for their building. The fire department requested $1.5 million to expand the current fire department building. It'll be a 2-story extension. And then their second application was $1.4 million to purchase a ladder truck. Go ahead.
The generator is for the EMS building. I believe they're trying to make another mini EOC in Pecan, and that's what that would be for, to be able to heat the building, cool the building, run the lights and radios and all that type of stuff. As far as the fire engine and the building extension, y'all, I'm assuming, have a copy of our packet here. So Chief Paxton's not here today. He's out of the country, so you have me. As far as the building, he's pretty much outlined a lot of what we need and how our district, like everybody else's, is expanding and stuff like that. So I'm not going to reiterate so much what he went over, but I would like to say that one of our goals is to have bunk rooms where Pecan is still a retired type thing. So we have a lot of older people, but there's a lot of younger people that do not live in Pecan that would like to come and be on a department, but they don't have a place to stay. So we would like to be able to have the bunk rooms and places for them to stay so they can help our responses. As far as the truck, aerial, whatever you want to call it, ladder truck, we're growing. Also, we respond outside of our gates, and it's growing, and we do not have a ladder truck right now. We feel that we're going to need a ladder in the future. Also, we have high-rise gear, stuff like that we have on an engine that just doesn't have the space to carry all the rescue tools, high-rise, all that type of stuff on there. So we think that one will fit multiple uses, as is a lot of departments use an aerial for that type of device. So like I say, he's already gone over it, so y'all can read his and just reiterate that. Do y'all have any questions?
No, I was just gonna reiterate some of what Chief Paxton said about, we that live in precinct 2 know that, and so do the commissioners, the plats that have been approved for the expansion in Pecan. And then also, Treaty Oaks is growing, the Bluffs, down by power plant, there's the Luker Ranch development. So not only is it just Pecan that this fire department serves, but it's outside the back gates. And it's what he's written in his document is it serves that area about 21,000 people. And so we need to know what's the way the fire department is set up, and I'm sure all of you who have toured it know that the bunker gear is right there with all of the equipment, the trucks and everything. So having some space to keep that bunker gear separated, keep the gear separated from where people are standing and working and where the fire trucks are. I could see, I've walked through it several times, and
one thing might be added, our department has one restroom, and we would like to expand that where.
And if you've ever seen it,
it's very tiny. So thank you for going over your requests.
Okay. Moving to Station 70, Volunteer Fire Department. They requested $519,000 to purchase a 3,000-gallon tanker.
Yes. I don't know if all y'all know it, but we cover about 64 square miles, and we do not have a fire hydrant one in our area. So when we go on any type of structure fire or any big fire, the first thing that we have to ask for is more tankers from other departments. So if we did have a tanker, not only would we be able to roll up with our 2,000 gallon engine, we would have another 3,000 gallons to be able to immediately start fighting fire with. And not only that, it would also help us serve the other fire departments when they do need extra water. So a tanker for us is just almost, would be huge to help fight fire in our area because we have no fire hydrants.
Any questions?
Did you say 561?
519.
519,
140.
140.
And that is for a 3,000 gallon tanker plus all the equipment on it too.
Okay. Last fire department on our list here is Toller Volunteer Fire Department. And they are also requesting a pumper tanker at the tune of $898,000.
Yeah, and since,
I don't think we
anybody
have
here
it,
from
but-
Teller, but they are building a new station with their own funds and with some donated property and funds down there. They're building another station and would like to have another pumper tanker to be able to reach those structures from that station down south there. So expanding everywhere.
Okay. That concludes our fire department applications. We talked about Pecan EMS already. We'll move to Texas EMS. They turned in one application, but it was two options. And it was a total of $3.3 million. Ricky, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to talk about the proposal I submitted on behalf of Texas EMS. Texas EMS is the 501c3 EMS organization that covers the county except for the gated community of Pecan. We do that with 4 units currently and at two locations, one at Clifton behind Grunts and the other one over here, Commercial Lane, right across from Tractor Supply. In my packet, I laid out a lot of information of the growth of this community and what's coming down for the next 5 to 10 years. And unfortunately, we cannot expand. We're 501c3, we don't have the capital to expand into additional stations. And so what I looked at is where the call volumes are for the fire department, the call volumes were for EMS in the past 4 to 5 years and what's projected going forward. And I submitted a proposal for a combination fire EMS station in 3 locations. One of them being in Indian Harbor with Indian Harbor Fire Department. The other one out on the loop that would actually be joined with the city of Granbury. And the other one is in De Cordova at the back gate on the school property. 2 of these are on school property. One's at Bacchus, one would be at the Acton Middle School, and the other one is on the property owned by Indian Harbor. So those locations get us into those areas, it gives an expansion for us. It has living quarters. Most of the stations in the county for volunteers do not have living quarters. So these are living quarters for crews. It's 4 base stations. It's about 12,000 square foot buildings that would be built to house both EMS and the local fire department in that area. So it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. We're growing at 6.5% a year, just in our growth, our growth in EMS alone. So are the fire departments. In my proposal, I kind of outlaid those different areas that are growth. Right now, Indian Harbor is one of my biggest, I guess outside City of Granbury, it's my biggest community that I go into for EMS calls. And then I go into the next one would be De Cordova. And then I get out into Oak Trail Shores and over in North Hood County. And so having the station out on the loop gives me quicker access to get out to Lipan, get out to Oak Trail Shores, and then get over to the station in North Hood County. Same thing, Indian Harbor gets me out in Ambrano. As Commissioner stated, that growth in that area with all the different communities that are platted currently that are not under restriction of the city, in any day, those will expand to the point we're looking at 1,500 houses to be built on those different areas of land. It also gets us closer out, so if we mutual aid, which we do in Pecan, as their growth continues to go. The other thing is,
They wanna know where I am, just tell them I have to go, that's a recording.
the other thing is, we are also looking in the future of something going out toward Toller, because we cover that area as well. So we deal in response times, same as fire departments. The difference is ours emergency medical services, so our time is more critical when we get into a life and death situation. And so we're trying to get close to those communities. And also, us being in those communities, we can relieve a lot of the calls that volunteer firemen make on our response, because we're gonna be in-house with them. We'll probably be out, because we're around the clock, full paid service, long before they get out of their beds and get to the station, get their equipment to go. Each station's $1.1 million. That was a proposal I got. As you know, building changes daily around here, so at the time that the award, if it's awarded and the time of built, I'm not sure what that cost would be. It could be less, could be more. The other thing is we asked for generators at the 2 current stations we have. During the winter storm Uri, we were on the rolling blackouts, and kind of like the other fire departments, we do not have generators, and so we don't have our CAD system, we don't have radios, and we don't have a way to get our doors up. So there were a couple times we got caught without getting our equipment out. Couldn't afford to leave the doors up. One of the buildings sprinkled, it has to be heated, so we've asked for 2 generators for those locations. So the total, the whole program would be $1,376,800, I think, what it is. And it's kind of helping the other fire departments along with us, so it's not just an EMS only.
The one thing I want to add to this particular project is, it's not just Granbury that benefits, Cordova and Indian Harbor. One thing that I've just been pounding a drum on, and I mean, everyone has an opinion about traffic right now. You haven't seen traffic yet. Wait until they start putting Jersey barriers in, closing shoulders down, forcing directions of travel. People can't pull over. 377, particularly at the bridges, when I say they're exciting, consider this the biggest dramatic understatement of the century. Travel through town and across the lake will be hard, and that's being optimistic. These stations not only benefit us, but in Texas EMS also. Because I'm telling you, that classic 3:30 elementary schools are out, 4 o'clock middle schools are out, 4:30 the high school's out, 5 o'clock everyone's coming home. 377 is going to be spicy, and it's going to be such a catastrophic challenge for everyone. And it's not a 3-year project. It's not a 5-year project. It's not a 10-year project. Best case scenario, it's 15. And the stations are going to be critical, not just for Texas EMS, but for the fire departments too. Think of the massive amount of work they're doing on just the intersection at 144 and 377. That's not an easy intersection to clear right now. And when that project starts, hopefully the emergency services know all the back roads, because you're going to be having to squirt out there pretty far to get around it. The stations will have a almost unmeasurable positive impact in the ability of the first responders to be able to respond. Because there'll be a time when the traffic hits that it will be. It's just, no one's going to be able to pull over, and you are going to be locked down. And that's why I'm just, any consideration to my other projects, I'm wholeheartedly, if anything I could contribute for this, I'm all for it. Even if it's just 2 of the 3 stations and it's not the Granbury station, that's how important this is. It needs to happen.
Well, I think you've touched on, we spent hours talking about the call volume areas in the county. They're so heavy right now with Cordova. Indian Harbor, by that we mean everything kind of south on 144, that's Indian Harbor Fire Station's area, not just necessarily inside the harbor itself, but that whole area down 144, and then of course up Station 70 and Station 20's area. There are a lot of calls going out there. each of those areas is, you know, over 1,000 calls, and on volunteers, that's 3 calls a day. If we can get EMS staged better where they're out in those areas, they can still come back into town rapidly, but to be able to respond out from there. I know at night, right now, Texas EMS is located behind Crumps over there. Being in La Pan on the map on the phone, that says that's like a 27-minute haul. So that's a long time when it's a critical medical emergency going on.
It's life on the line.
If you want to see a sample of what, when they start widening 377, go out at 7 o'clock tonight and try to drive from 144 to HEB. 45 minutes if you're lucky, because they're working one lane on both sides, both directions, and it's single file. And you can, you know, I wish we went through that last night, but, you know, if you've got a question of how bad it's gonna be, once they start the actual, you know, widening of 377, go out tonight at 7 o'clock, 7:30. And just make that trip from 144 to HEB.
Single lane with a flagger at every intersection in Cotto.
Yeah, it's not.
So in my proposal, I laid out about the traffic as well, 377. We've been working with TxDOT along the same, trying to figure out how we're gonna be able to maneuver. The first construction project is the 1.4 interchange, which is gonna impact us getting out anywhere south of 377. And so that's one of the bigger call lanes.
Just to reiterate what Commissioner Wilson's saying, this is, in relative speaking, the repaving is a short-term project. When 377 expansion starts, that's gonna be years. So we're getting a small taste of it right now, but we need to be prepared.
Very last thing I'll add, assuming that station does get built out there, Bacchus, that station's 14 members closer to a new station, and whether it's 1 bay, 2 bays, 5 bays, I've got 25 apparatus. I can fill it up. I don't need a new truck purchased. I can put it in, I've got the gear, ready to go.
And when Ricky did his application, he also submitted a separate but equally thick proposal for funding. But it was nice, and I hope that all of the court read it, because it's this one. But it outlines exactly what he's talking about, and he has the numbers, not just for EMS, but also for the fire stations, which kind of helps the case, I think, for everybody. So thank you for doing that, and I hope that it was helpful for the court. Okay, any more questions on Texas EMS before we move to nonprofits? Okay. The first nonprofit we have is Rancho Brazos. They requested $500,000, and it is for the development of a little over 4.5 acres of land, as well as building an outreach center for their organization. And I think y'all are here. Do y'all want to speak on that?
The one thing that I would like to add is when this was submitted, it was when we were still speaking about the nutritional deficit within our community. And since our application was submitted, it has come to my attention that now our Granbury ISD schools are being challenged with providing pantries within their schools and having a space identified so that we're ensuring that the nutrition gap is filled for kids. It has also been brought to my attention in Precinct 3. As of yet, Oakwoods, Acton Middle, and Elementary have not qualified for those pantries, with more than 1,000 students, or close to 1,000 students within those 3 schools that would qualify. So it's literally within single-digit numbers at this time. Neighbors Feeding Neighbors is an organization that we work very closely with throughout the community and all the pantries. And they had a grant. That grant has ran out. So very soon we are about to have a huge nutritional gap challenge within our community, and through this warehouse we would be able to store that food. I know that there are less than 5 pantries in Hood County that are able to deliver food. We do know through our community needs assessment done in 2017 through United Way that transportation is one of the largest challenges. We are a rural community. One of the things that I am asking for is the support from the community to understand that what we're developing is on county land. We're in business for a 99-year lease, and our goal is nothing but prevention of abuse, neglect, harm, anything to do with kids, because the fact is, that land is going to be there, it is going to be serving this community, and the students that we are growing, hence my shirt, through that building, the families that we are tooling and enriching are going to be the people sitting in this room making decisions. That's the goal. So please, thank you for considering us, and to know that we love where we live, and we're all things Hood County.
Okay, any questions on the Rancho Brazos application? Okay, communities and schools of Greater Tarrant County. They're asking for $532,000 to support 3 program manager, mental health counselors. I believe y'all signed up to speak if you wanna.
We did not. We're happy to answer any questions. We've enjoyed a more than 5-year relationship with the Granbury ISD and are happy to continue that work. So if there's any questions, we're happy to entertain those.
Okay. Continuing on, Hood County Substance Abuse Council. They are requesting $20,000, and I believe it is for prevention and treatment recovery programs.
Yes, it's to bring us up to the electronic age, because all the communities that we're going and serving in, we can't get internet, we can't get any volume if we're trying to do a slideshow, like it's hard to get, and the kids are now using electronics to communicate. Basically, COVID made it to where everything was online now, so our curriculum that we have currently is now all online. So in order for us to use our curriculum that our grants tell us we need to use, we don't have what we need to serve that to the youth of our community.
I just had a question between the communities of, in schools of Greater Tarrant County as far as the counseling and also the substance abuse. We also have the opioid grant money that we received from the lawsuits set aside in another fund. And those two things may qualify for the opioid grant. Part of the counseling, I'm not sure everything you're doing, but depending on what the counseling is for, Margaret can look at that, the rules around the opioid grant, and if it's about prevention of substance abuse, then it very well could likely be used out of that opioid grant money, which was to date $91,000, but I think as the lawsuits continue, there likely will be more funding from that. So that might help, especially in this Hood County substance abuse application, but maybe partially for the Greater Tarrant County also.
Okay. Moving on, the YMCA, they are requesting $300,000 to establish and support the Project 505 program, and I know you signed up to speak on that, so.
Yeah, just we visited with a few of you about it, but a couple of things that we hear each day at the Y is the gaps that need to be filled in the community, and the two that really stand out to our board and what we're hearing are intentional programs for kids with special needs and their families, and then what are we doing with the teens, right? So right now we'll have 40 to 60 teens that come over to the YMCA every day after school, and it's activity. And if you guys have been there, it's probably very similar to the roads that you're talking about as they come in and kind of take over that area, right? And what are the intentional things that are going on with the teens that we can invest in now? And Charlotte is absolutely nailing it, is that these kids are the ones that are gonna be in your guys' seats and in your guys' seats. So now is the time to invest in those kids. So what we wanna be able to do is to have that intentionality with them. What we hear is what are kids in this area doing on Friday and Saturday night, right? Like you have two choices that you can do. Right now, a lot of them, you can either stay at home or you can go hang out with your bad choice friend, right? And if your bad choice friend is making bad choices and you're hanging out with them, then that's not a good thing. We want to be able to provide an opportunity where the kids have a place to go on Friday and Saturday night for some meaningful activity. Now with that, it's not just giving them that. You know, we also want to teach them the importance of giving back. So requirements would include volunteering in the community for at least an hour a week to be able to participate in these programs. And then to bring folks in this room to be able to develop those relationships with the kids at a young age and talk about what that is. So that's the base of it. There's a number of things that can go into it, and that's just the team part. You know, right now with the special needs kids, every Wednesday, so here in about 2 hours, we'll have a group from GISD, from the special needs program, come over to the Y, and they get to have a day out. But it's not just to be able to be into the gym and to play. It gives them a chance to get out into community, to see new faces, to go to areas so that they can adjust what it's like to be on, you know, and we know we need to do more with that. What we're doing now is okay, but it's not good enough.
Any questions on the YMCA application? Okay, moving on to the Forward Training Center in Hood County. They requested $69,000 to purchase technology, I guess, to upgrade y'all's organization. And I believe you signed up to speak on that as well.
I did. I'm Sheila Bartley, and I'm the technical director there. The executive director couldn't be here today because she had surgery yesterday, so she's still recovering. And I have Monica Hayes here, who's the operations director representing the staff, and I have John over here, this would be the project manager of it. We have our technology. Well, first of all, Forward Training Center provides training on how to get a job and how to keep a job. And part of that training is computer basics all the way through CAD and certified Cisco networking stuff. And the computers we're using came out in 2008. We can't upgrade them to Windows 11. They're slow. And we need new technology. And I detailed on page 5 in the packet what we need and the priority and what we needed. Like for CAD, we need super fast and lots of RAM because, you know, trying to do those drawings, you can't just wait around forever. And then, you know, for the high tech or CNN, for the Cisco lab, we need some better things. And in the main computer lab where we teach computer basics and the Microsoft Suite and QuickBooks, like I said, they came with Christian Women's Job Corps in 2008, and we've done all we can do with them now. The next step, I mean, when Microsoft gets out of upgrades a little bit more, we'll be out of business. So we need this money to purchase these equipment. And like I said, I've detailed them there on page 5 and the priority.
Yeah, and from a, I guess probably more of an emotional appeal or standpoint, we are in the business of life transformation, basically using work as a vehicle, and understanding the dignity of work and what that means across the board, both to youth and to adults in the community. So we serve the unemployed, underemployed, those looking for a change or the right way or the right fit for them. And we invest time and personal attention to each and every one of these entities to prepare them for every element of work. But probably one of the biggest things that we bring to each of these individuals is the relationship and the connectivity within the community. We provide all of the services that we offer completely free of charge. We have 8-week classes both for the adults, called Jobs for Life, and for youth. We work with STARS and we work with Premier High School currently for youth age, and that's called Powered for Life. And it basically instills, and they work alongside a mentor to work with them every step of the way, instilling in them just the character and attitude and along with the hard skills needed for just a lifetime of the job and contribution. And what we often find is that people typically in their capacity or whatever, looking for a job, don't have the connectivity. The roadblocks or the barriers that they come up against are typically, dealing with some algorithm for job application, if they're able to do that, if they're even able to get to that point, and don't have the who do you know, and we bring that into straight to their door, basically, through the programs that we offer, and again, completely free. So they get to understand by bringing in. We also bring in business owners in the community to discuss with them what they look for in employees and so forth. What skills, what character traits they need to have. Business owners and community volunteers come in and do mock interviews and so forth. So it lets them see how this entire community pours into their development, their growth, their well-being, and develops this relationship and understanding and instilling in them that their own value, their own worth, thus, hopefully, in the end, turning them into contributing citizens in this community. As several of y'all have said, they are the people who will be sitting in these seats. So that is the hope. It's just to, our motto is basically, we're going to give you a hand up, not a hand out, so that they can realize the value of themselves and what they can contribute.
And this is all done by volunteers.
And yeah, 100%.
We had over 5,000 hours of volunteer hours.
Yeah, we have 2.5 staff members. So, but yeah,
and
5,000. You are a volunteer staff member. But so it's just it's our mission, it's our passion, it's our like I said, emotional appeal here. It's what we want to be able to, and we work with a lot of the people represented in the community from the nonprofit perspective, and it's just and like Sheila said, we are, because particularly with the youth, but we are working to bring the technology up, because we are going to, we are in a technology age, and for instance, in the classroom, we have students, we're constantly talking about how to search for jobs online, and we are working with another program that's kind of like Indeed that we're bringing to the students that's specific to them to connect with jobs in this community. And a lot of people don't have access to that technology, and in the classroom to make it available to them would be a big boost. And transportation access, remote whatever access, to be able to provide that for each of these, so that we can serve a greater number of people in the community who may not be able to actually physically make it into our center.
And we do have people that do have jobs come and take these computer classes.
Absolutely, yes.
To get to know more into Word and Excel and QuickBooks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just not the unemployed or underemployed.
No,
It's people that
not at all.
they need to polish their skills.
Yeah,
Any questions for the Forward Training Center? Okay.
Okay.
Moving on, thank you for that. Moving on to the constable's office. Constable Jordan put in an application, I believe on behalf of all 4 constables. It's a $70,000 application request for 2 trailers, ballistic carriers, plates, helmets. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
2 trailers to replace the dilapidated ones we have that are old, that we've had for years. One, the floor's falling through. To replace for the child safety seat program, the other one for community outreach. And it places ballistic vest plate carriers in each office and also with each vehicle for the constables to respond to situations, whether it's in the court buildings where we're at, where we're located, plus out on the streets. And that's where it is. And those quotes are coming in. We did receive one quote, almost $15,000 for the ballistic vests, waiting the ones on the trailers with the options. So that number will probably come down from that when that's received.
Well, question, so a few courts ago, we approved the purchase of some ballistic vests that included constables. Are those not the same as these?
Those are bulletproof vests. These
Okay,
are not,
different.
these vests here will stop rifle rounds.
Okay.
That's what these are.
Okay, so these are different quality.
Absolutely. They are a much higher quality.
Can you not put
And they go
plates
on-
in the vest you've got currently?
Say again, sir?
Can you not put plates in the vest you got currently?
No, sir.
Bad choice of vest.
That's what the Department of Justice approved, and that's what the county purchased.
Okay. But I'm just saying, we can get vests.
Yeah, this also goes in line with the
Wearing-
same request the sheriff has in his request that he's
Wearing the
asking.
level 4s, quite heavy.
Any more questions for the constable application? Okay, last but not least, there is an application for $5.6 million. It was put in by Dave Eagle for Hood County.
So, Mr. Hohan actually segued right into what I've got here. As he stated, traffic is gonna be terrible on 377 when that, as you can see, and even Commissioner Wilson alluded to, just go out there tonight.
Challenge.
And it's gonna be bad. And we've been in discussions, the county has been in discussions with the city on Old Granbury Road to provide some work on that where the traffic flow is better. Right now, it's not bad, but when this 377 project does begin, it's going to be bad. And if we don't act proactively now, and the first thing that we've been meeting with the city, it's a 9-mile stretch from where Old Granbury ties into 377 on this end, all the way to Crescent. It's a 9-mile stretch. The city it's 4.5 miles of that is in the city. And we've been in discussions with the city about, and talking to architects, road engineers about what we need to do. And the first thing that needs to be done are the intersections. Intersections need to be dealt with where the traffic flow will be better. And we're looking at possibly roundabouts or whatever. But in addition to that, we are working, our road ops person and myself, we've been in discussions with the Texas DOT about the bridge down on Walnut Creek. We've been talking to them for the last, actually 2 years. And after we had our last meeting with the city and all the engineers that came, and the judge was there, after we had that last meeting with the city, we got back with the DOT and went from, they were already ready to start the project, and this is quick for them, by the way. They were going to start in February of 2025, and they had it all laid out, but we've decided that we might as well go back and say, instead of having a 26 feet wide bridge, to go to 52 feet. And it was like, oh, here we go, you know. So they're going to have to kind of start over, but we've already got them started on it. So to think ahead, I think the county needs to look at being proactive. I think we may have to look at the 5.6 is just a small part of it, which is what's left in the ARPA money. But this ARPA money, you know, to get a little bit on my soapbox, this money was our money to begin with. This is taxpayers' money that the federal government, when COVID hit, dished back out to people, to entities, cities, counties, etc., but with a lot of strings attached to it. Over time, those strings have been disconnected. They're pretty much just kind of letting us do what we feel like we need to do in the most cases. But we've heard the sheriff's department needs of almost $1 million. We've heard $11 million totally for all the volunteer fire departments. We've heard EMS pushing $4 million. And then I'm just talking about $5.6 million as basically saying we need it all for the roads. So there's a pie like this, and there's this many people asking for that pie. But the bottom line is we need to look seriously at our EMS, our fire departments, which are called essential services. And one of our primary functions as a county government is roads and bridges, and providing ingress and egress and passable roads, etc. So I'm stumping pretty heavily that, of course, the old Granbury Road is in my precinct. But we're going to have to get around 377 somehow. And we may need to look at a southern artery to go around. In fact, we probably need to look at that too in Commissioner Wilson's
We've
precinct.
already been looking at that. We've got it pretty much laid out. I'm not gonna make some people happy, but, there is plans to have finish the loop basically. We go out inside Comanche Peak, this side of that, to 144, down Membrano, and it would require another bridge across the lake around Power Plant Peninsula in that area, and then come in on the back side, other side of the pond, come back into 377 that way. But yeah, that is laid out. We've had 2 discussions now with TxDOT on that aspect also. So traffic is going to be, the key problem that we're going to be facing for the next 15 years at least.
And so I agree with Commissioner Wilson 100% on that. And again, it puts us in a position, everyone that's brought their application in here, all the 501c3s, they are all worthy causes. They are absolutely all worthy causes. But with that said, we have essential services that we have to provide to the entire population. And so put yourself in our position. What do we do here? We're in quite a quandary here because we've got $21 million being requested, and we got $5.6 million in the pot. So we're gonna have a heck of a task. And of course, when I put this in late, I'll tell you that, because it dawned on me, since we're having this meeting today, that really I can solve all the dilemma. We just put it all on the road and then it's done. So, and we're probably going to have to, we're going to be looking at maybe having to do a certificate of obligation for several million bucks. We've just started looking at numbers. But if we don't act, if the county doesn't and the city together, the city's on board, if we don't act together now, we're going to be bottlenecked unless we come up with a ferry, or maybe a ferry somewhere where we can get people across the lake on a ferry. But we're in a quite
wrong spelling. I'm sorry.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe you can make a boat.
There you go. There you go. So anyway, that's my pitch. And bear in mind that we've got to try to do what benefits the taxpayers the most. And we've all got our own ideas about that. There's nothing personal about it or anything else. It's just what we got to work with. So just want everybody to be mindful of all the things that we're asked to do in the county and the limited resources, you know, and then we don't want to tax y'all out of your houses. So, and we try to be mindful of that. So we work within constraints and we do the best we can, but you know, this ARPA money has been a double-edged sword in some ways. Anyway, that's my spiel. Thank you.
How much do you think this project would cost? How far would that 5.6 million go?
It will get designed, it will get some intersections started, and then as far as the final number, I'm looking at probably 15 total. But the county could actually do a certificate of obligation. There's ways that it can be done, and by the way, the ARPA money can be used, it has to be used by the end of December 26th. But you could
be obligated by the end of
obligated by now, soon, by the end of 24. However, you can break your project into phases, and as long as you have that phase done by the end of the period, you're good. So you can cut it into chunks, because believe me, on the wastewater plant, I've looked at all this totally, and we could break it into sections, into phases, and we can make sure that the part of the phase that we need, that we use the ARPA money on, if it were to go this way, some of it, it would be used and obligated and out the door by December 26th. And we're still looking at a 5-year project if we started tomorrow on Old Granbury Road. However, just to reiterate, the intersections are where you start. You get the intersections where you got turnouts and widened out and ready to go, and then the widening, the road itself is a lot easier to do. So,
quick question. So obviously the requests are way over the top of the actual funds available. Any individual request is either going to all be funded, or is it all or nothing on an individual fund or request perspective?
I don't think anything's all or nothing.
Okay, so you just take a little slice here and take a little slice there, distribute it.
One thing that has stood out for the fire departments, got 4 different bids for tankers. And my question is, why such a variance in the price of almost $100,000 in, from the lowest, price that we got requested for tanker versus the highest price? It's almost $100,000 on just tankers. It seems like to me, not in the fire business, I would openly admit that, but, you would have a little bit better buying power if you're buying 4, if we end up, if you end up buying 4 tankers, getting them pretty much all alike. And that would serve,
I can comment a little bit about this. 2 factors. One, we bought a brand new truck in December of '22.
Right.
I kind of got snagged with the interest rate hike, and the question was, do I want to pay higher interest rates on the gamble? And I knew trucks were going to go up in price. I knew they were going up. I got lucky because I chose right. The truck I bought for $395,000 not even a year ago is now $600,000. Yes, I got hit on the interest rate, but I would much rather take the interest rate hit than the inflation hit in the long run.
And I understand that. I'm just saying the request that was turned in, we've got, that much of a variance.
The bids were got at different times. So if they would have gotten one in April versus May, price went up 30%. If someone got one in June, it went up another 35%. That's the hit.
And do they have all the exact same equipment?
Right, no, see, that was, the Lipan tanker was bare bones.
Yeah,
because we
I can
already had
tell you,
equipment.
it also depends on the brand. I know somebody said they were looking at a Pierce tanker. The one we were looking at was a lower end tanker. Also, it was ready to go. I mean, I could have had that in 6 months. Also, when we were doing our bids, we got a bid like 2 or 3 months before, and then we got one right before I turned right in our bid. and it had gone up $40,000 in 3 months because of, and I'm not saying, you know, that was our bid.
Right.
And we weren't looking at, we were looking at if we got this money, we could go out and get this tanker and have it in our station in 2 to 3 months, not having one built and it take a year and a half to 2 years to get.
Now, to fully answer your question, yes, if you standardize the trucks, because when you purchase a truck, you basically get to pay for the engineering on that truck at least once. And if you continue to buy sister trucks to that apparatus, you start getting the discount, and then also just because you're purchasing more, you're gonna get better pricing. So that's a great way to help kind of take several socks full of nickels off the top end by just saying, guys, we need to sit down, spec one truck. This is where you're at. You guys need to come to us with one truck. That'll help knock some of the price shock and differences out of all the apparatus. The very last thing I'll say about this is that all the manufacturers are putting in their yearly price hike November 1st. So there'll be another price hike. If you got a quote today, I promise you November 1st, it's higher.
Thank you.
Commissioner Eagle, I can appreciate what you're talking about with the roads, and I was stuck at 7 o'clock coming when they were doing the work, and absolutely understand and your guys' choice in talking about wanting to touch all of the community that we have. I would just remind and even think and with the EMS and man, those guys do a ton, and absolutely, but. When you look at the 50 plus 501c3s and nonprofits that are in our community, I would venture to say that, and we do a lot of collaborating together, that we also touch the full community, right? And that is a good investment for what we're looking for with this as well.
I think one thing we also need to keep in mind is how like we talked about yesterday, Senate Bill 22, how that's going to play into the equipment needs for the sheriff's department, because that's $500,000 that can be used to purchase some of this equipment, and I think we need to keep that in mind as we go through this. I don't know if that's covered, it obviously doesn't cover everything that the sheriff's department has asked for, but that's in play, so we need to keep that in mind.
And we're working on that, correct? We're working on having an application.
Yes.
They're not gonna take apps until January the 1st. And the plan is, and Margaret's working on it to, when January 1st hit, the request is gonna hit. And I went to a Commissioners County Judges Conference last week and we talked about this. So it's very important that we get our request in for that $500,000 on January the 1st. And that may, like Commissioner Samuelson said, may be something that will aid the sheriff's department part of this equation, which is still a very small part when you look at everything being requested.
And we have, Emily has done a lot of work and she's already spoken with the sheriff's office and gotten all of the information that we need for the application. In fact, probably she's even acquired more than they're gonna ask for. But the purpose behind that was that everything is there, it's all in a book ready to go. As soon as it opens, we can submit it the same day.
I think it's really important to get the equipment to save the lives of the people that are putting their lives on the line for us every day. So we need to make sure that we have that grant ready to go so that they can get that equipment that they need.
Is there anything else that you guys need to discuss? I mean, I know y'all don't get very many opportunities to talk all four together, so.
Yeah.
So it'll be easy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, just out of curiosity, are we still in need of,
Piece of cake.
buying some stuff on credit? Keep our credit score?
We're here to talk about ARPA.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm out of order.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do y'all see as the next steps? So, I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you what I've done is I've put everything in a spreadsheet with ranking and priority. I haven't put anything in yet. I'm happy to share this spreadsheet with the other commissioners if you would want to take a shot at putting numbers in. I mean, this is not gonna be easy. I mean, they're all great things. I wish we had $22 million and we could solve it all. So, I don't know, I know what the next step is because we need to make some decisions and go forward.
Yeah, I would appreciate it if you would share that with me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think y'all's next step is probably identifying y'all's individual priorities and then the
Right, I
priorities of
would-
the county
Yep.
and meeting and discussing what y'all's top priorities are.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind sharing your spreadsheet,
Okay,
maybe send it down to Brenda,
okay, I'll do that.
unless you got copies now.
No, I only brought one, so I can share it with Brenda and ask her to send it to the court. And it's not in the same order as this, so it's just in the order as I was flipping through them. I was putting them in a spreadsheet, so,
Commissioner Sampson?
yes.
I still have a printer over there if you want to make copies.
Oh, too soon,
If you guys don't mind, last thing I'll add real quick is, for the fire and EMS side, when you're talking about apparatus, if you do a bulk purchase, you can throw the boats in there too for better pricing. The same for the buildings. Doing bulk expansions in Crescent or Texas EMS, same thing. Toller, Lipan, same thing. You can go after that group pricing. So that's the one thing I'd say good luck on, is trying to figure out how to get your best bulk pricing.
I don't think I have the authority to adjourn the meeting.
That,
Okay,
Pro Tem?
any other questions? Since the judge left, I'm pro tem, so I'll now declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.